Hello, everyone, and thank you for your presence. Marco and I have been approached by WRI and TTF to provide you with an overview of the legal context in the Congo Basin and how the Open Timber portal can help you to realize your due diligence. So after a short presentation of who we are, I will present the context of the legality of timber in the Congo Basin and the associated risk, and then Marco will give you the presentation of the OTP. So, Marco and I represent Obwar, which is a consultancy company. In addition to expertise in forest management and governance, and also as a training organization, we specialize in the implementation of a UTR and performing compliance audits and in forest certification and chain of custody. So we have a strong experience and a very good knowledge of the legality issues in the Congo Basin. If you have any question, please raise your hand and we will unmute you. But if you can, please ask your questions by writing so we can fully understand you and we'll provide you with the answers, maybe orally or in writing as soon as possible. I continue. So first I will present the legal context in the Congo Basin. And we will look at the requirements that need to be verified. What is the applicable legal framework and the risk and element to verify to ensure the legality of timber. So the UTR aims to verify the administrative and fiscal compliance of companies, the application of the law in forest management and wood logging, but also concerning the rights of the local population, as well as trade and custom procedures. Even if the UTR does not target all of them directly, we believe that there are other legality criteria that present particular challenges in the Congo Basin, both in terms of legality risk and reputational risk. These risks are related to the labor and the environmental law, but also concerning the protection against illegal activities and especially also about the supply chain, which generally needs to be checked for forest and industrial companies also in the Congo Basin. As you know, UKTR and UK FLEC regulations apply now in the UK, but the requirements remain the same as under a UTR. So we will now see how these criteria are framed by the regulation in the Congo Basin. Obviously, we will have a global approach and it's therefore possible that there are interpretations to be had for each country. So in terms of administrative compliance, this is essentially involves verifying that companies are clearly established and registered and that the company has the necessary authorization to carry out management and logging activities. The shape of this authorization is, of course, specific to each country. So I don't go into detail. Regarding tax compliance, it is important to check that companies are up to date with their declarations and the payment of their taxes. These taxes are specific or not to the forestry sector. Each country has a specific tax system, which generally relates to concerning the forest sector to the volume of timber and the area considered. We can also specify that taxation is framed by diffuse taxes which evolve independently of forest law. We can have particular change each year when the finance law is promulgated or at any time. For example, if the administration wants to implement specific incentive measures. Concerning the framework of forest management, the legal framework is really well developed with modern forest codes and application text, which evolve also regularly. The forest codes of the Congo basins make forest management a general obligation for forest concession with an objective of sustainable management. Concerning wood logging, the legal framework is also well developed with modern forest code, and once the management plan has been approved by the government, forest company has to implement a 5-year and an annual management plans, and of course to obtain authorization. These plans and authorization set limits concerning logging, and particularly the species, the minimum logging diameters, the volumes not to be exceeded, and geographical limits to be respected. With the exception of a few special cases, the rights of the local populations are poorly regulated in the Congo Basin. This is usually offset by specific obligations that are formulated in forest concession contracts between the government and the company. These contracts generally include the support of population and the provision of goods and services. For labor law is also very well framed by the law. It is very comparable than what we have in Europe. Workers must have employment contracts. Overtime must be paid in accordance with the labor law. The company must ensure occupational health and safety, which include drinking water and health care. The environmental law is also fairly well developed, and there is specific requirements applying to forest sector concerning environmental impact studies, waste management, and the fight against wildlife poaching. Custom and trade regulation is very standard and functional, as in most countries. The only particularity of the forest sector concerns that some countries have export quotas or industrial timber processing quotas. To the other risk criteria, the company must open their boundaries and the limits to protect from illegal activities. But the main concern will be about traceability, which is not a legal requirement, but it's rather about assessing the supply chain in the forest and industrial companies in the Congo Basin. So now we'll have a look at the risk that may exist regarding this criteria and this legal framework. We can note that the companies generally have a very good administrative compliance. They are registered with the various administration. Few of them are affected by judicial decision or administrative measure that imply they stop working. The process of obtaining the forest titles are well documented, and the companies have the necessary authorization for their activities. As the tax context is complex, tax compliance is sometimes difficult to assess, but the companies are used to demonstrate their compliance and generally have adequate documentations and can provide the evidence you need. It is also not uncommon for companies to present a payment moratorium, which are negotiated with the administration, or compensation, which are often linked to delays in VAT refunds. For Even if forest management law is well developed, a lot of companies are late for its implementation. Forest management processes are sometimes not implemented on time. And in most countries, there are also specific forest titles that have little guarantee of origin and are very difficult to verify. These are mainly what we call vente de coupe, or special permits or community forests, which are framed by text less developed than for forest concession, and where the compliance is more difficult to verify. The logging activities are relatively poorly controlled and documented because it is about field visits, and also because the administration have a lack of technical and human resources to carry out effective controls and to ensure the application of the law. The main issues that may appear are about the respect of the limits, the diameters and the species, but also the traceability and declaration are often a problem. The company can have significant commitments in its contract with the government to support a local population, and these contracts are often poorly implemented and documented. The respect of the labor law is a real weakness in the Congo Basin, not only concerning forest companies, but it is not uncommon that workers do not have an employment contract, but their overtime is not paid in accordance with legal requirements, or that they don't have insurance with the social security, and that the health and safety elementary requirements are not implemented. It is also recurrent that the environmental requirements are not fully respected on its fundamental principles, and particularly in terms of waste management, and particularly concerning oil and other products. We can see that the trade rules and custom processes are very functional and secure. The only issue might be concerning the respect of the export quotas in some countries, which are not always respected and for which the administration has difficulties in controlling it. And concerning the other criteria, which is the most important, is to verify that the forest and the company you are evaluating are the ones from which the wood is delivered to you. It is not uncommon to forest companies to have external supplies for their industries. So as a conclusion, we can say that the Congo Basin has a high level of regulation. The companies have mostly a good level of administrative and tax compliance, but there is recurring non-conformities in the other criteria, and particularly in terms of labor and environmental law. The level of compliance of the forestry companies remains very variable, and some companies has a low capacity of improvement. And also the Congo Basin administration generally has a lack of technical and human resources to carry out effective controls and ensure the legality of the timber in their country. Thank you very much for your attention. We can have maybe now a short question and answer, and then I will give Marco his time for his presentation.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on the OTP Open Timber portal. Do you see the presentation? Yes, it's right. Okay, thank you. So we will start quickly in order to respect the times at our disposal, and because we have some objective for this webinar. Regarding the objective, during this webinar, we will go together to see the information available in the OTP, Open Timber portal, to understand the interface and so how to have access to this information. And in addition, we will see together how the OTP can integrate a due diligence system. So the role that this platform can have in the DDS of an operator. Okay, so the Open Timber portal is an initiative launched by the World Resource Institute. So WRI is an international research organization, a no-profit organization, and thanks to 1,400 employees and 12 international offices, this organization operates in more than 50 countries. The work is carried out on 7 thematic programs with 4 transversal teams. But what is it, the Open Timber portal? So it is a free web platform, so no account is required to view and to have access to this platform. It's designed by WRI in consultation with civil society organization, the administration in the involved countries, and private sector as a producer, industry federation, and so on. But the goal of this platform is to promote the respect for legality in timber production and trade through the better access to information. To have a better access to information is the main goal of this platform, to give you a facility to have access to this information. We know that information in case of due diligence system are a lot, but it's sometimes difficult to have access to this information and to find a lot of information in the same place. So the other goal is to improve the effectiveness of regulation as UKTR, UTR, Lacey Act, and so on, to counter illegal logging. OTP was developed with the support of several donors. So, in the purpose of the OTP is to provide better access to this information, but where does this information come from? The portal compiles information from 3 different sources: the Forestry Administration of involved countries, producer, and independent forest monitors. In addition of these 3 sources, which we will see in more detail in the next slides, in the OTP we also find information from Global Forest Watch. Global Forest Watch is an online platform that provides forest monitoring data and tools. With this technology, Global Forest Watch enables anyone to access to near real-time information to know where and how forests around the world are changing. The first source, we said then, is the administration responsible for forest in producing countries. And this administration provides the list of registered producers operating in the country, but also details on forest concession, such as official limits, the name of concession, and the year of start of operation. This information is issued from data compiled in the Atlas Forestier Forest Atlas. Involved companies, so OTP covers several countries in Congo Basin in this moment. Starting 3 years ago with Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. In Cameroon has been in 2019, and last year has been included Gabon and Central African Republic. The OTP will be extended to other producing countries, but depending on available resources and opportunities. Second source are the producer. All registered producers operating in production country, the 5 countries listed, are listed in the OTP. These companies can then voluntarily register and publish their key document, then demonstrate their compliance with the legal requirements of the country in which they operate. So they can register themselves in the OTP and after upload in the platform the document, and these documents are free to the access for the user of OTP. It can be downloaded by the user. The list of documents to be published by the operators, by the producer, is specific to each country. So 5 different lists for the 5 different countries. This list per country is developed from the legality grid developed by the national actor as part of the process of the Voluntary Partnership Agreement, VPA, signed between the producer country and European Union. The third source is the independent monitor. Then there are non-governmental organizations, which analyze and submit reports on forest governance and management, as well as timber harvesting and transport. And this organization upload their observation in the OTP. This is an additional information than the buyers, the operator, can use as part of their DDS, due diligence system. Attention, this organization may post observation relating to non-compliance with legal obligation online under condition that these observations are supported by evidence. In some cases, these observations are validated by an official reading committee. So in the screenshot, we can see the observation list. We will check the OTP together later. And checking in the report image, we can open and download if you want the report uploaded by the independent monitors. And as said before, the OTP also contains data from Global Forest Watch on the loss of tree cover over time, as well on the protected areas. These data also include the weekly forest cover loss alert issued by GLAD, the Global Land Analysis and Discover. We can check quickly as it works. So, yeah. So we are in the OTP. So this is the first page. We go on producer. And we have the map of the 5 countries with every FMU, Forest Management Unit. You can see, we can click and we have information of every forest management unit, information issued by country administration, okay. About the Global Forest Watch information, we use the legend and we can check the tree cover loss in the last 20 years. And very interesting, the GLAD. So the GLAD alerts of the last weeks. We can move, we can decide which is the period then we want to check. And for example, we can launch and we can see sometime some red pixel appear. You can see. We are checking one. Yeah, we can see the red pixel then appear, then are information about loss of tree cover loss. So attention is not because it's red, then is something illegal. But for sure, when we can see some big red flag, you can see red flag like this one, This could be interesting to, if we supply from this FMU, from this supplier, we could be interesting, we will see, to send some question to check with the supplier what is the reason of this one. Is a normal harvesting situation? Is a village? Is a road? Or something legal? Or something then probably the company is not aware because it's something then someone else is doing in the forest. Okay, so we can check completely every FMU, and using the legend, we can check the data from the Global Forest Watch. Was interesting, I think, to check together this function. Okay. So, small question. Have you ever used OTP in your due diligence? So, small, yeah, just to check if OTP is a platform, then is no by the operator in this moment, and if has been used until now. So we will check after some example how to be used. Okay, so we can stop, I think. More or less 40% of answer about yes and 16 no. But of course, we hope, we think, then the percentage will change after this webinar from tomorrow. So, how the information available in the OTP are organized in the OTP? So we can find 4 consultation options. A classification of producer according to the criteria of the transparency with a filter by country or by certification. Producer profile, so all the information available for each company on the list. So we know then all producers are in the list, and we can have all information available for each company on the list. A database of observation of independent monitors and NGO, and option implemented this year, a database of producer documents. Important, for more information, a tutorial is available on the OTP website in French or in English. To make the OTP data easily accessible and understandable for user, produce a ranked against information published voluntarily. For each operator, a transparency score is calculated as a percentage, taking into account the number of documents made public in the OTP out of the total number of documents required. We can see the ranking with all the companies. This is all the top part. We will check after, then we can go down. But we can see here the score with the percentage, with the name of the company, the country, in case of observation, the number of FMU, and the certification, if applicable, if this company is a certificate holder. This ranking is based on the full list of operators registered in a country. Attention, the other column, which indicate the forest certification, then the company holds, and the average number of observation, not observation in this case, received per visit from external independent monitor, are not taken into account of the calculation of the score. I repeat, the calculation of the score is issued only about the percentage of valid document uploaded in the OTP versus the total number of documents then they should upload regarding the country where they are operating. So we have an overview also. You can see there before we was in producer and now, we are in observation. We have an overview by category of observation issued by independent monitors with a severity, high, medium, low. We can have here an overview about the different observation issued in the different items. Timber harvesting is where the many observation has been issued, and we can say in between high, medium, low, or unknown also. And we have quite pretty many different filters like type, country, producer, category, source, status, and so on. We have the list of all observation issued. In this moment, we have observation until 2014, until today, but OTP is working to upload also older observations, so is an implementation then will be implemented in the next weeks or months. And a new option from 2021, so for the observation from this year, the availability of geolocation of observation, when for sure the independent monitor give this information on the OTP. It is possible now to find the observation directly on the map. Still regarding observation, World Resource Institute and its partner have developed a range of severity parameters for each category of observation in collaboration with independent monitors. The objective is to help the OTP user to understand the relative importance or the more or less significant nature of an observation on illegal logging or a forest governance problem. Is important. Why? Because it should be noted that the threshold used to define the severity categories can lead to an underestimation or overestimation of the severity. you may understand, then when we are borderline between the limit from low and medium, or from medium and low, you could underestimate or overestimate one observation. So for this reason, the OTP encourages users to interpret the severity of an observation according to our criteria. Okay, so I think then now we can go back on the Open Timber portal. This is the first page. You can find the different options of consultation, producer transparency and ranking, producer profile, and so on. We go to producer. We check the transparency and ranking. This I show this part for the people then would to know better, and to show you then is a tool very easy to use, very clear, and then need to be discovered. So we can find here the transparency ranking with the list then I showed you before. You have all the companies, all the producers registered in the 5 countries included in the OTP. We can use a filter per country, a filter per certification, you know, all certification, not only FSC, PSC, but also OLB, control wood, TLV, legal sources, and so on. We can find, looking for directly for one supplier with the option search, the legend with Global Forest Watch data, for sure. We can go to check different FMU with information about the name of FMU, the name of producer, and directly to documentation if uploaded for every FMU. All information included in the same place. And we move on observation, another source of information, the third one about independent monitors. We have the overview, we have the different filter to research, subcategory, and so on. And we go down, we have the observation list. We go to the last one. We can change the criteria because we have a lot of criteria. So to have a simple and list, we can define what is the information that we need. We can check the detail of observation, and we can open the observation uploaded. And we have access to the document uploaded, then can be downloaded. Okay, with the severity and the category and so on, the company producer included, involved. And at the end, but not the end, the help section is very, very important and very well done. You can discover it and learn about this tool in this part because you have a lot of information about how the OTP works, about the severity observation, source information, geographical scope, and so on. Other due diligence tool, we will talk about this after. Tutorials, yeah, here you can find the tutorial for OTP user, for login companies, and for independent monitors. Something new, we have a lot of new languages available for the OTP, but English and French, of course, but now also Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and Vietnam. and you can go directly in the different information. Okay. About the OTP, we can define the OTP as a dynamic tool. Why? Because it's not frozen, it's regularly updated by the WRI teams, then performs regular updates. The data loaded by the companies is constantly evolving. The contribution of independent monitor are also evolving. And because several reasons encourage them to participate. For the companies, example, the ranking, the fact that they have a request from the supplier, the fact that if they upload the document in this platform, they can ask to the client to go to look for the document directly on the platform and not to send every day document to every different client. The OTP promotion, of course, and so on. But also for independent monitor is a opportunity of visibility, and in any case, we have a quality control process behind. OTP, but not only OTP, because other due diligence tools exist, as you know. Several national and international tool initiative, as we can see someone in this list, each with its information and these prerogatives. Is important. There are several initiatives, but not in competition. They are complementary in supporting the implementation of a due diligence by importer or operators. We insist about this. It's not a competition between tools, but complementary tools then together can help operator to be to implement a clear and complete due diligence. Okay, this was about the information available in the OTP and how to have access to this information. Now we can check how to use the ATP in a due diligence. So first of all, what is a due diligence? The international regulation as UKTR, UTR, Lacey Act, implemented to counter illegal logging, aims to exclude the timber and deliver product from illegal harvesting from their local market. So we could define a due diligence as all the measures taken by the company to avoid marketing wood from an illegal harvest or a product derived from this wood. The DDS objective: assess and effectively mitigate the risk of the sale or use illegally harvested timber. Attention, the risk of illegality can be low risk, negligible risk, or high, not negligible risk, but never absent. The risk exists always. The due diligence system is organized in 3 steps: access to information, risk assessment, and risk mitigation. But we have to ask to ourselves, what is it, the illegal timber? Illegality in forestry activities, we are in a situation where we have a lack of international recognized definition. So the applicable legislation is the legislation in force in the country of harvest, which cover the following 5 areas. Legal right to harvest, tax and fees, timber harvesting regulation, third-party right, trade, and transport. Attention, the concept of risk and illegality are essential in a due diligence system. So, information from the OTP can be used in several stages of a due diligence system. Regarding access to information, it can help about required information, about integrity of information, but not only about access of information, but sometimes also the OTP can help about the evaluation of the risk assessment, for example, for origin, or sometimes about the mitigation of risk. Yeah, this was the partage before. The second question, quickly. Do you know which document to check for each country you source from? Yeah. We start with 100%. We go down at 50% now. Some second more. It's pretty good. Not so bad. So we are more or less 60% of people that know what are the documents that have to be checked for each country. Okay, not so bad. So, the purpose of document collection is identify if and where are the risks of violation of the law, potentially mitigate the risk identified, and conclude that a low risk, if possible, of violation of the law. The required information are some quite pretty easy information to know, as the description of the product, imported quantities, the supplier, species, country of origin, but also document and other information indicating legal compliance. The OTP is able to provide this information. The legislation in place need to know the legislation in the country of harvest. Attention, collecting document is not an end in itself. Is important meet the objective of the risk assessment and potentially risk mitigation. So it's not a collection of documents, but it's important to collect the right document and the document necessary to evaluate the risk as if necessary, mitigate the risk. So what are the documents that the producer must provide to demonstrate their compliance with the legal requirement of the country? The OTP provides this list of documents by country and by category. So this is a point very important for the OTP, for the user. The list of documents to be published by the operator is specified to each country. Is developed from the legality grid developed by national actors as part of the process of VPA, Voluntary Partnership Agreement. So we can see the list of group information, for example, legal registration. We can click on expand. We find the document then have to be uploaded. In this case, we are in a company that has uploaded both documents. Something very important in the sometime in the document we have the date of issuance, but not always, not all the documents include the date of experience. So something very important in the OTP, every document is included with expiration date. Sometimes it's very long, like in this case, because probably company with is a document and validity very long. Oh, sorry. But sometimes are quite short. So in case then a document uploaded, but then the expiration is arrived, the color move from green to red. In this case, the company has uploaded a document, but now the document is still uploaded, but not more valid. In this case, we can check if the document is available. We can be downloaded or in any case checked. It's not been issued by the company. We can ask to the company to implement, to upload the document in OTP or send directly to you. We will see then is better if it's in the OTP and why. Can be not more valid or can be not applicable. The company has it's possible for the company to click not applicable, but in this case, he has to prove, he has to define in the text why he considered that it's not applicable in his case. Okay, so in this case, we can say then the documents are available in the OTP. Integrity of information is essential to verify the veracity of the document collected, particularly in countries with weaker governance and higher risk of corruption. In the OTP, what has planned for that? For documents submitted by companies, by producers, the OTP has set up two steps validation process. The first step is the review of the submission document to ensure that the content is readable, is sufficient quality, is in the correct category. The second step concerns the control about the quality of information provided. The producer documents are also periodically reviewed by external experts. This is about the document submitted by the company. For documents submitted by third party, by independent monitors, there are two additional levels of quality control. The first, World Resource Institute and its local partner verify that the documentation submitted are completely correctly. Yeah. The form must contain proof as well their correct legal reference. Secondary control, content control, where comments are provided to in independent monitor in order to improve the quality of documentation submitted. You will see in the observation sometime is written, comment has been issued to the independent monitor. The independent monitor has implemented his observation after this after receive this comment from World Resource Institute employed or a partner. But the OTP can also help in the risk assessment of origin or risk mitigation. In some cases, thanks to the information and document available on the OTP, it is possible to assess a specific risk as negligible. For example, thanks to satellite mapping of forest management units or reports of independent monitor, for example. I give you a couple of examples. Example one, a report published by an NGO. One report, we have many reports every year. In this report, evidence of illegal logging in Cameroon in a region bordering to Republic of Central Africa Republic. So in the border in between Cameroon and Central Africa. The OTP, thanks to its mapping of forest management unit, can make it possible to downgrade this risk because you are realizing your due diligence system, your due diligence. We have this remark, this alert about Cameroon, but with information about the mapping of FMU, then you can find in the OTP, you could downgrade the risk of supply in Cameroon to negligible if, for example, your supplier, your forest management unit of your supply are located in southern west of region of Cameroon, so close to the Atlantic. In this case, clearly you are in a different zone from the zone where this report has been produced, okay? A second example, a newspaper article inform, for example, then a conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo between a logger, producer, and local population without giving more detail on the parties concerned. This could be a risk identified. So the OTP, thanks to the document made available by the company, for example, the company has uploaded the document regarding the chapter rights of the population, all the documents are uploaded and valid. And also, for example, this company has received some observation from an independent monitor, but about a small problem about harvesting, for example, but not remarks about, not observation about problem with local population. So using this double information, you could downgrade the risk of supply in the Democratic Republic of Congo for your supply to negligible concerning the specific point raised through the information of the newspaper. Okay, these are very specific case, but each operator, I'm sure, then are for sure met case like this one during your due diligence in the last months or years. Here we want just to show you how the OTP tool can come to the aid of operators, a constitute element of risk mitigation. Another small question. Has the OTP, after the discussion or the information that you have read in this presentation, in this webinar, has the OTP encourage you to change your sourcing or go deeper into risk analysis? So about information then you have discovered probably maybe today during this short exchange between us, but or maybe because the OTP has already known by you and will give you some point of idea to think about your due diligence for the next due diligence. Okay, so not so bad, so very good. So this is the goal of this webinar. The idea for the WRI is to make discover more the OTP, to have more people than use the OTP. Moreover, because more people use, more people push their supplier to upload the information on the OTP, more this tool will be useful for everyone. It's a free tool, it's an open tool. We have to promote this tool to help every user in his due diligence. So thank you for your answer. So last point to finish, because we have a lot of other, I see a lot of red light on the discussion. I know then Olivier is working in the answer. Probably we will check later.
You can answer directly.
Maybe after the scenario or right now.
Okay. Now
well,
scenario.
Okay. So we have the time, no problem. For one time we have the time. So a short scenario situation then could be one of your situation in the past or maybe in the future. Then we will propose you and check together on the OTP. So in this case, a new supplier contact you to propose wood products. The supplier is the company Cefecam, based in Cameroon, and he wants to propose you the sapelli planks. So first of all, we start from the beginning. What are the steps to follow in order to perform a due diligence in accordance with the EUTR? So I don't know if someone know the steps. We have already talked about these steps. I can help you. 3 steps, no more, no problem. The idea is going the OTP. So the 3 steps is the access to information, risk assessment, and risk mitigation. So access to information. For the moment, we know only the name of the companies. Is a producer, I don't know, we can check. A country and the product. Okay, product is the local product, so is not spruce, so no problem, can be from Cameroon. So what is the first task? I go to open my OTP. It's not mine, it's our OTP. Okay, so Cefecam is a producer, yes or not? So I go producer. I use the search. I put Cefecam Cameroon. Yeah, exists. So first question, the company is included in the OTP? Yes, is in the OTP. If in case of a company then is not in the list, probably is not a producer. It could be a trader, it could be a sawmill, then is not producer, but buy logs from producer, different producer. So yes, we can continue the research. If not, it's not a registered producer. So you have to ask to the supplier to discover, to mapping the supply chain, because your potential supplier is not a producer. So for sure, you have someone other companies before to arrive to reach the forest. So in any case, in this case, we have a producer. So Cefecam. Cefecam, this is the overview about, they have not included text about the company. It's not a problem. We go directly on documentation. We can see then the company has uploaded more than half of the document, 59%. We have the orange is our document not uploaded. and red are documents uploaded but now expired. This is something new in the OTP. Is a new 2021. In fact, we can have a view only from April, but you can check quickly the evolution of percentage of ranking of the company. At the beginning, no, at the end of April, the percentage was less than 20% of uploaded documents valid. The companies work a lot around June to move to a percentage of around 60%, 58, and after some document expired, probably. We see then, in any case, the company has started to work to upload the document, not all the documents. What documents are uploaded? We can check. The two mandatory documents for required documents for camera are uploaded. The date of expiration is available. If we check, if we click on the document is available. Okay, is available. It will be always available. So you could include in your due diligence the document is available on the OTP. If you prefer, you can download the document on your in your system. User rights. We can see then this company has 9 forest management units. Okay, we can check where are these company, this FMU. 4 here, 11,003, 004, 002, and 006, and other smaller here, 5, 9 at all. So about user rights, we have not documents available for the big four, but we have the document for the other 5. Arrêté d'attribution de la vente de coupe. Sont des ventes de coupe. They are ventes de coupe, the 5 small area, and our concession forest management unit, the big 4. Is interesting because if we go to read, we have all the documents about FMU are provided. Only for FMU, forest management, of course, not for vente de coupe. Timber harvesting, you know, you can check. This one is one of 004, 002, 006, 003 was the forest management unit. They say then not applicable. Why? Because it's a forest management unit harvested by themselves. CFECAM has not renewed the request for annual permission because in this area is a problematic fight in this moment. So the activity has been stopped since 2019. Probably is for this reason. Then the information about the major the forest management units are not available because this forest management unit in this moment are stopped. But the company is working about vente de coupe. If you buy product from this company in this moment are good from these 5 vente de coupe. So finally, you could identify then the fact that these documents are not available is not a problem because are not available because this forest management unit in this moment are stopped, are frozen, okay? The company is working with this one, but this one is explained reading the information issued by the company. This is quite pretty interesting information. So this is the case where it's important to identify the ranking, but the ranking alone is not interesting. Why? Because in this case, a part of document required are not uploaded, but was not necessary, you know? So it's necessary, as in every due diligence, a competent person then is able to evaluate if the document then lack are really necessary or not. Okay, it's not because it's not 100%, then is for sure not negligible risk. Okay, and after other information, for example, red one expired some 2 months ago, but has been available. Attention, sometimes the document is not uploaded or has not been reissued, not because the company has not the document, but because the document is not available to the person, maybe in the office, then upload the document on the OTP. Probably is a document that is available in the forest, in the forest site. And the document has not been forwarded to the office. Is only a delay of uploading. So his interest is not because it's not in the OTP, then the document doesn't exist. So you have to ask to the company to send you this document, or better, to upload the document in the OTP. Why? Because if the document is uploaded in the OTP, the quality process review implemented by OTP team permit you to evaluate if the document is the veridicity of the document, the expiration date, and so on. Something that sometime alone is not possible to do or is difficult. Okay, so we have checked the document, evaluate if the lack document are necessary or not, and if some document has to be required or not. Regarding observation, no observation from independent monitoring. Okay, so the third and last point to check, we go to check the forest management unit. We can check if we want the a forest management unit. Also, if we have checked, then in this moment, the wood normally doesn't come from there, but we check a GLAD. In the last, we put a research in the last year. Launch. Some small point, red point, we could ask to the company why, if this forest management unit is not used, you have some red point. Is an interesting question. It could be a village, or it could be a road, it could be for other reason, official legal plantation. We don't know. It's something then, an information, we have a small red flag there, could be interesting to ask, to do a screenshot and to ask to the company, could you give me more information about that? They are complementary information that sometimes in due diligence, we don't use it because we have not access to this. OTP permit you to have this information at the same place of other documents, observations, and so on. Not necessary to go in the Global Forest Watch to have this access information, okay? And if we check in a small forest Van de Koop, we can check, for example, last check, launch, we see some red point, then is normal logging activities, not big red flag for the moment. So no, not big red flag. So no, no information about the necessary then then require complementary information about this three cover loss about this Van de Koop. So if we come back to our small situation, what information should I look in the OTP? If the company exists, is a producer? Yes, is a producer. So are there additional questions to ask to the supplier? Yes, for example, forest management unit, you have not uploaded document. You say then from 2012, 2019, the activity stopped. Is still the case or not? Please, if it's the case, send me the document. Then are not available, but then you have in your from your site. But something then I have detected in the Global Forest Watch data, I have seen a red flag in the forest management unit. Then in this moment are frozen. So why? An exchange with the supplier then will be interested to give you more information for your due diligence. For sure, with an approach so complete, I think, I guess, but I let, if we have some national authorities, then attend this webinar but from our side, we consider then is an approach quite complete. Then for sure, show then operator is implementing something complete, and he want to check the maximum about information, to collect the maximum information to realize his risk evaluation. Okay. And for sure, we arrive at the end, the DDS conclusion. What is the situation? So for sure, or if the supply is a negligible risk, what is the next step? If you consider then is negligible risk, you can proceed to purchase this wood seed. And if not negligible risk, what is the next step? Require complementary information from other support tool or other system that could give you information. Or last option is to implement, to send, to launch a third-part audit on file realized by qualified independent body. This is the last solution to try to realize a mitigation risk. So from my side, that's all. I think then we have some question. We try to reply to your question now for the time then we have. We will have your question. If we are not able to reply to all, you will receive an answer by email today or in the next days. If you have some question in the next days, you can send your question to Open Timber Portal at www.ri.org. And if is the OTP teams will reply to you, or me and Olivier can reply to you if OTP send forward to us this question. So thank you very much, and we move to your questions.
We have a lot of very relevant questions, which implies very difficult answers. We are working on it, and we will answer on the window. Maybe we have maybe one question also to ask to competent authorities. I am writing it. About a question from James. I write an answer now, but I can't find the question. Okay.
Pretty a lot. So.
Yes, about the awarding of forest titles, which may have been appear with corruptions. We think it is it has to be studied on a case by case. We should take into account specific context for each case and the time that on how long is it it happens, because we cannot change these processes, and to listen to the arguments. Maybe it would be interesting to have the point of view of the competent authorities that are present. Does anyone want to raise his hand to answer?
I think there's one person. Leslie Mason has raised hand. If you would like to unmute Leslie.
Who is
I think Leslie is now here. Leslie, if you are here, you can just unmute and then ask your question directly to Marco.
Who is unspectator? Okay, Leslie. Okay, yeah, yeah. I have asked for reactivate the microphone.
Okay. And there are some more questions I noticed in the chat box and the Q&A. Would you like just to take maybe one of them and then go through?
Can we take into account a notion of prescription, for example?
Sorry, say that again, Oliver?
For this question of James, I'm wondering, because it's a very interesting question, maybe we can also take into account a notion of prescription of the awarding of the first titles.
Okay. Oh, you would like to speak with James directly as well, because we can unmute James. What would you like to do?
We can write.
Okay.
And maybe you need to move forward on the other presentation.
Okay, so how about some other questions? For example, this one from Ken. Ken asked whether OTP can help mitigate the risk of potential mixing of accepted and not accepted material. Because that is another thing, a major risks.
I will let Marco answer.
Yeah, about how can OTP help mitigate the risk of potential mixing of acceptable and not acceptable products. As said at the beginning of last scenario, it's true then the OTP include the producer. So really the company then realize the job. It is not a tool that permit to identify the supply chain. So about mixing in the supply chain, for sure, is not possible through the tool. How the OTP may mitigate the risk of mixing in the producer? Because we know then sometimes lots could come from the forest management unit and from other forest management unit. Some observation of independent monitor have detected this and have issued observation about this risk and this problem. It's important to implement this implementation, this job done by independent monitor, and this information will be more and more available in the future. Is the job of the OTP to include new independent monitors. For sure, is when a company has all the documents available, checked in the quality, the risk zero doesn't exist. As I explained before, the risk can be identified as low, negligible, not negligible, but the risk zero doesn't exist. It depends also about the information of to check with the company, with the supplier, if they purchase logs also from other producer. Not we have not to think only about the logs from illegal sources, but also buying from other producer, other Vendée Coupe or other producer. I see then Marie want to. I go to open the microphone. What
also Leslie?
Leslie and Marie. I open.
Yeah,
it is not actually Marie, but I'm just surprised that I'm using the name of Marie. I could not change it. I don't know why, but I'm Achille Diabou. Yeah. Coordinator of the Open Timber Portal in the Congo Basin. So my role is actually to ensure the quality assurance of the data into the platform. So I just wanted to give some bit of information to support what Marco and Olivier have already rightly explained concerning the documentation, because one thing to understand is that it is possible to have materials from unknown sources and known sources, but the advantage that we have on the ground is that we have an existing program that is already working directly with the administration, which means that it is not possible for a company to hide some of its sources of harvest. So that is already fundamental, because for the case of Cameroon, you have a lot of small titles where illegalities is happening, and then you have the big titles where everything is compliant. So when we have this information, this helps to make sure that all these sources are displayed on the company profile. And then if he is not able to provide documentation for these sources, this makes his score to be lower. So if you look at the case of Sefecam, for example, they have that he just explained as a case study for this training. They have concession. They also have Vendée Coupe, which are the sales of standing volume. So most of the time, the documentation for that type of sources are low. So you can use that as part of your due diligence to say, if from these sources he's not able to provide documentation, it is very likely that the wood from this source is not legal. And then the other point was about the documentation that for the case of big wood that has some concession issue without following due process. I would just like to explain that with the OTP, we are also engaging in trying to fill some of the gaps in the laws because we work with the administration. We have identified a lot of documentation that cannot be issued, because for that case, for example, it is not only that company that is in that situation. We have several companies that is in that are in that situation, and there are specific documentation that they cannot get from the government because they cannot provide evidence that there was a real committee that sat and discussed and agreed that they will receive, they will be allocated that concession. So the purpose is also to find out how the government is going to bridge that gap if they want to, if this company have to achieve the flex license, because the OTP is voluntary. So the main purpose behind also is to push the government to put in place a favorable environment where companies can get all the required documentation to be able to get the flex license when the system will be in place. So that's what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Achille. Leslie, maybe you have a question.
I'm not so sure that Leslie is here, but
okay.
There's another question from Diren. Diren asked if OPT mainly is OTP mainly for African-based companies.
OPT mainly for African-based companies. For the moment, yes. The 5 countries are 5 countries in the Congo Basin. Right now, the OTP is ready to include the observation from independent monitor from everywhere. So if in this moment an independent monitor want to upload observation from Vietnam or can be done. For example, you can find observation from Ivory Coast. Also, if Ivory Coast is not included as in the producer of Ivory Coast, that is included. So for the moment, observation from everywhere is possible. As said during the webinar, OTP WRI want to extend to reach other countries, for sure. It depends by opportunities and resources. But for the moment, yes, the Congo Basin. 5 countries in the Congo Basin.
Thank you very much. I think that's all the questions. Oh, there's one more here. You mentioned, no, okay, sorry, no. If I could ask a question, please, Marco and Oliver. You mentioned earlier that there's a network of independent forest monitors in those countries and regions. How can operators connect with those independent forest monitors? Do you have a list of all the NGOs and monitors in those countries that we could reach out to?
About this is independent monitors, then could be in touch with directly with OTP more than with the operator, but operator could, if they are in touch with NGO in some country, could ask to this NGO in other countries, independent monitors, to be in touch with, to contact OTP to upload, because it's necessary. It's not the registration is not necessary for the user, but it's necessary for producer and for independent monitors. It's for this, then you can check, assign it in the website. It's not for the user, but for independent monitor, for sure. It's normal. They cannot accept it. Then no. Every organization can upload every document without control. To be included in the quality control and so on. I don't know if Achille maybe wants to reply to this. Maybe he has. No, it's not Achille. Okay.
Okay. Right.
The link. So the independent monitor have to reach maybe.
Yes, sometimes it might be useful for the operators to directly ask or communicate with some of the NGOs and independent forest monitors regarding a specific supplier or their observations. It might be useful if that can.
I see. Yeah, for the new independent monitor, for sure. For the independent monitors, then are already in link with I let Marie.
Okay. Yes. Hello, Marie.
Hi. Yes. So some importers are already in touch with some monitors, so that's one thing to know. However, it's true that monitors don't have necessarily the bandwidth to reply to all the requests, because that's a lot of work, and they have a full-time job, which is to actually go to the forest and check what's going on. So it can be tricky for them to be responsive in a manner that is really useful for importers. However, that's a topic that we are willing to explore, how to really improve that relationship between monitors and importers, and how could importers have an easier access to these people in producer countries that are so knowledgeable about the context they are operating in. Yes. So yeah, I think that the very initial first step, and we are considering that, would be to add the contact details of monitors to be accessible on the OTP. So that's something that is already in our to-do list. But yeah, always willing to explore more options in that field. I agree with you, Shauna, that it's very important to improve this. Thank you.
That would be very useful. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Marco. I'm just conscious of time. I noticed that there is one more question from Krishna. Maybe just one more minute. Does OTP portal help with procurement from India? In the chat box. At this moment, I'm not.
For the moment, unfortunately, India is not included. But why not in the future?
Great, perfect. Thank you very much, Marco, Oliver, and Marie. I hope that covered all. But I'm sure for any further questions, please do feel free to email WRI or Marco and Oliver here. We will also be sending out the PPT, right, Marco? We'll be share the slide with the participants later.